Sheriff Todd Baxter, what is the name of your criminal employee who lowered his shoulder, ran at me, drove his shoulder into the small of my back, knocked me down, and caused my head to slam against the concrete pavement at the pharmacy entrance to Wegmans at 2157 Penfield Road? District Attorney Sandra Doorley, what's the name of your disgusting, nauseating public employee who stands in Penfield Town Court twice and doesn't talk as that I'm delivered to Monroe County Jail first and Livingston County Jail second as an innocent man? What has happened to me should never happen to an American, ever. I've never experienced hatred like the hatred at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, and this repulsive star chamber of Penfield Town Court with John P. Lomenzo Jr., James P. Mully Jr., and now this bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler. I have never committed a crime. Where's the jury in Penfield Town Court? District Attorney Sandra Doorley. Perry Duckles, why isn't there a jury in Penfield Town Court? How is it possible that this 70-year-old pedophile protection racket for Daniel Glaus III, that was John P. Lomenzo Jr., just declares me guilty and I'm delivered to Monroe County Jail? How is it that this bald-headed, wig-wearing extremist, this hack, Paula Metzler, delivers me to jail without even asking me why I'm in her courtroom? How does this happen in the United States of America? What would you think, Perry, if one of your family members or friends or someone you care about, someone you like, someone you love, hadn't committed a crime, was deposited in Penfield Town Court, prosecutor doesn't talk, declared guilty, and is sentenced to jail? And also, both times I'm not told how long I'm going to be there. I'm not told how long I'm going to be in Monroe County Jail. I'm not told how long I'm going to be in Livingston County Jail. So I haven't committed a crime. Prosecutor doesn't talk in court. I'm declared guilty by these two criminals, John P. Lomenzo Jr. and Paula Metzler. And when I'm in Monroe County Jail, Livingston County Jail, I'm asking every single day, how long am I going to be here? I'm not told. So Paula, I'm not in Penfield. I'm not in Monroe County. I'm not in New York State. And I know you're losing your mind right now, but you're trying to send me to jail. You as one person underneath that pathetic wig, you're trying to send me to jail. You are a disgusting, vile, reprehensible, sickening hack. Hatred inflames you. How do you live with yourself sitting there in that little library and declaring guilt and innocence? And as you can see from these Freedom of Information laws documents called FOIL, that I'm sending them demanding to know that ain't charged a sentence of every defendant in Penfield Town Court before John P. Lomenzo Jr., James P. Mully Jr., and Paula Metzler. Everybody's guilty. Isn't that right? Bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler. Everybody's guilty. What is life going to be like for you, bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler, when I tell the United States Department of Justice that everybody's guilty? What is life going to be like for you, Junior Mully, when I tell the United States Department of Justice that everybody's guilty? And I'll prove it right now. Click reply and tell me when someone's been acquitted in Penfield Town Court. When has that happened? When has an American citizen been acquitted in Penfield Town Court? When's that happened? I'll guess. No one's ever been acquitted. It's an assembly line of guilt. You're an employee, bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler and Junior Mully of Sandra Doorley and Todd Baxter. No independence from you. What I'm going to be also sending to you, and you will refuse because the law's a joke to you, bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler and Junior Mully, is documentation that demands you disclose your finances, your worth. All public employees in New York are required to do this. So I want to see if you have a conflict of interest. You have people appearing before you, and they should be in another court, another jurisdiction. Financial disclosure, the same thing with you, party switching frauds, Todd Baxter and Sandra Doorley. I want to see your financial disclosure. Where's your money? Do you have a conflict as a district attorney and sheriff, respectively, in Monroe County? So I'm working on that right now, and you're going to refuse. That's why I'm telling you this. You will refuse. I'm going to demand your financial disclosure documents, and I do not know what they are officially called. But you know what I'm talking about there. Party switching frauds, Todd Baxter and Sandra Doorley, bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler and Junior Mullen. You know what I'm talking about. Where's your money? Where's your personal money? Disclose it, and you will refuse. Total contempt for you concocted a crime for me, 2 crimes for me. I've always known the difference between legal and illegal. You, at the sheriff's office, don't know the difference between illegal and illegal. You won't even tell me the name of this sergeant at your Panorama Trail office, if in fact that's where he is. Concocts this one for me with Shannon Meyer, because he's the one that has me in handcuffs on my front lawn. Tell me how this is criminal contempt, Todd the fascist stooge. And you will refuse, because you're concocting new crimes for me. You know you can send me into the Star Chamber, demand that I go in, because I'm not going. I'm not voluntarily going into Penfield Town Court. They'll have to drag me in there. They will have to drag me in there kicking and screaming. And Paula, you will not be able to talk when I'm in there, because I'll be screaming at you and screaming over you. I'm not exaggerating. If I'm in Penfield Town Court and you're in front of me, bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula, you will not be able to talk. If I'm in there, and I'll, in all likelihood, be in handcuffs, because I'll have to drag me in there, and you're in there, Paula Metzler, I'll be screaming at you. You will not be able to talk. There's not one word you're going to be able to get out of your mouth at me in the concoction of another crime. So I'm going to say it again. I'm going to repeat myself. I know I'm repeating myself because it has to be drilled and hammered and pounded into your brains there at the district attorney's office and the sheriff's office and this fucking Star Chamber at Penfield Town Court. You will not be able to talk if I'm in Penfield Town Court, Paula Metzler. I'll be screaming at you and over you. There's not one word you're going to be able to say to me. You put a camera on this building for me, Todd Baxter. A surveillance device. When I was calling it a surveillance device, just sickening employees like Michael Rather, Kathleen Miller, and William Today on Scott Alberti were calling Lindsey Barron, the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. I've now seen the images. How do you explain that to the people of Monroe County when you run for re-election? You bought a camera, also called a surveillance device, for me, for one innocent American. And you use the civilians to get to my residence. The guy in his tractor knows, because your employee Shannon Meyer met with him. Steve Desmond and Brock Colatree in Law Care, that's the name of the business that's suddenly here, that was never here. Shannon Meyer met with Steve Desmond and the guy in his tractor, and the 6 other fanatics knew to be here. Here he comes on his tractor. You want me to come out of my house? I come outside, I stand right here, see nobody owns any land, and walk back in my house. How is that a crime? Bald-headed, party-switching sheriff of Monroe County, Todd Baxter. How is that a crime? Party switching Sandra Doorley. How is that a crime, Perry Duckles? You're concocting crimes for me. And then I'm supposed to voluntarily go into Penfield Town Court and be declared guilty by this bald-headed, wig-wearing fanatic extremist and sociopath, Paula Metzler. And I'm not going to do that. Tell me how that's a crime, Todd Baxter. Tell me how that's a crime. And then perhaps I may decide to consider going into Penfield Town Court to be declared guilty. Criminal contempt second. How is that possibly a crime to go outside? You're going to have to answer it when I contact the United States Department of Justice. As I said, now 50 plus times, 70 plus times, 100 plus times on you, Timon, in writing. Harassment second. Why is the $79,000 a year Andrew Reale been fired? Why don't you think about Kevin Baxter, Zachary Baxter, being charged with harassment second, sitting in the backseat of a police vehicle? I go to now defunct PW Fitness. I'm in the back. Up walks to me Jim Psychopath Jermaine Benman. He goes like this. I tell him I'll be 30 seconds. He leans over me. He punches down. My head snaps back violently. We go outside after Andrew Reale arrives because a witness called the sheriff's office. Reale doesn't ask me one question because he's been to my house because it's his parking lot. He tells me he's sitting in the back seat of his vehicle. I walk around. He marches Jermaine Benman around to the side of the vehicle because he told Jermaine Benman what to say. He tells Jermaine Benman, I just want to press charges against you. That's how I'm charged with harassment second. Who am I harassing, Todd Baxter? Tell me who I'm harassing. I said this to you, bald-headed wig-wearing Paula Metzler, in your Star Chamber. What I just said to you about criminal contempt and harassment second, I said to you. And it's total fucking deer in the headlights from you. Because you don't know the difference between legal and illegal, justice and injustice, truth and lies. There's something radically wrong with you, Paul Metzler, underneath that pathetic wig that you're wearing. Everybody's guilty. Isn't that right, Paula Metzler? Everybody's guilty in Pennsylvania courts. Not a single person that goes in there. And attached this YouTube that I sent you. You're demanding that I appear in Penfield Town Court. You can't even follow the law yourself, you bald-headed, wig-wearing hack. Junior Molly, Paula Metzler, send me a list of everybody in Penfield Town Court. This is dated December 16th, 17th, 18th. Has the same language. My name is Christopher Chichester. I have never committed a crime. The name, charge, and sentence of every defendant in Penfield Town Court before John P. Lomenzo Jr., James E. Molly Jr., Paula Metzler. I'm going to repeat this to hammer it into your brains, to hammer it into that corruption that consumes you. At the District Attorney's Office, the Sheriff's Office of Penfield Town Court. I'm 55 years old. In the 30 years since I was honorably discharged as a 22-year Sergeant E5 from 2nd Squadron, 17 Cavalry, 1 of the 1st Airborne Engineer Assault, 4 Campbell, Kentucky, I had 1 speeding ticket, and suddenly become a criminal. I wasn't suddenly overcome with an inability to recognize the difference between legal and illegal. You do not know what a crime is. It's the Sheriff's Office, it's the District Attorney's Office. Why do you think the prosecutor doesn't talk, Sandra Doorley? And I'm demanding her name, and I'm going to get to that foil. You're refusing to tell me even the name of your public employees, your assistant district attorneys, who stood there and didn't talk. And I'm supposed to go back into Penfield Town Court, be declared guilty, and carted off to jail again? That is insanity. Penfield Town Court's operations should be suspended, and people scheduled to be defendants in that court should go to another court, another jurisdiction in Monroe County. An assembly line of guilt it is with these two hacks. When was the last time someone was acquitted, Junior Molly and Paula Metzler? The answer to that question is no one's acquitted. Everybody's guilty, right? I'm guessing, based on my experience, where you don't even ask me a single question. It doesn't even matter to you why I'm in there, Paula Metzler. How is it that I'm in there and the facts are totally irrelevant to you? You were called by someone at the Sheriff's Office, and you were told to be in Penfield Town Court. So they knocked me over. My head hit the concrete pavement there at Wegmans. They took me in there, and you just pronounced me guilty, not one word. Why are you in my courtroom? What do you think the employees of the United States Department of Justice are going to think about how I was attacked and assaulted, and there you are sitting there with that pathetic deer in the headlights look on your face, underneath your wig, and you just declare me guilty? Why was I in Livingston County? How do you answer that, too? How do you answer that, Paula Metzler, that I was in Livingston County when I've lived in Monroe County for 9 years? I'm a citizen of Monroe County, and there I am in Livingston County. It's that way, Paula. Livingston County's that way. You think right now, I got to call the sheriff. We need to send somebody to his house and arrest him. I'm so upset. I can't believe this is what he's saying to me. It's exactly what you're thinking. And I dramatize that, if that's the word, because that's the way I think you think. Based on my experience of your pathetic demeanor, it doesn't even matter to you why I'm in Penfield Town Court, Paula Metzler. I'm supposed to voluntarily come into your star chamber and allow you to pronounce me guilty? That's insanity. You are a human being that I have never encountered in my life, Paul Metzler. Because there's nothing inside you at all. There is nothing inside you. You're totally devoid of any type of recognition that American citizens have civil and constitutional rights. You are totally devoid of any sympathy for innocence. You are totally devoid of any ability to recognize justice. Is justice blind, Paul Metzler? Is justice blind, James Molly? The answer to that question from you two hacks is no. You're just there as an assembly line of guilt. Everybody's guilty. How is it that I was in Penfield Town Court without a public defender? How is that constitutional? I walked in there without a public defender on purpose. I'm standing there in front of you without a public defender, without an attorney, and you declared me guilty and I was off to jail, first before John Pilomenzo Jr. and then before you. How do you explain that to the United States Department of Justice and the Court of Appeals in Albany? How do you explain I did not have counsel, I did not have a public defender, and I was carted off to jail, delivered to jail as an innocent man twice? How do you explain bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler to any deputy sheriff of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office and any other police officer in the state of New York, proof by affidavit? Where is it? You think that you can compel me to come into Penfield Town Court and you won't even click reply and send me this proof by affidavit? When you get this bald-headed, wig-wearing Paula Metzler, send me this proof by affidavit. Two things are possible with this proof by affidavit. One, the proof by affidavit exists. It's laughable. It has no force of law. And any attorney that looks at it will conclude that it's laughable and has no force of law. Two, it doesn't exist, and Lee LaRoque is in there. How did you contact Lee LaRoque? How did you contact this extremist? This is Lee LaRoque right here, looking for a hammer. She took my Chromebook. Leah, you repulsive hack. Send my Chromebook back to me. What are you doing? What websites did I visit, Leah? Did you enjoy reading my emails? You're going to have to explain that to the United States Department of Justice. There's no doubt that you read my emails and went to the search history of my Chromebook because that's why you took my Chromebook. Why take my Chromebook? How do you answer that question, Leah LaRoque, in your blue gloves? You went nuts in here. You threw papers on the floor everywhere. Papers on the floor everywhere. Everywhere. You went through my father's dresser upstairs that he gave me from when he was a child in Brooklyn. What were you, Lee LaRoque, in your blue gloves doing? In my father's dresser, you took my dress screens from the 101st Airborne Division. They were on the floor in the spare bedroom. This shit never happened to any citizen in the United States of America. Lee LaRoque, where's his proof by affidavit? Paula C. Metzler to any deputy sheriff of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. Do you read this language, you bald-headed, wig-wearing hack? Does it occur to you that language has meaning and significance to any deputy sheriff and any other police officer in the state of New York? As I'm from Suffolk County, I know where Montauk Point is. And as we live in Rochester, Buffalo's not that far. So, any other police officer in the state of New York, any police officer from Montauk Point to Buffalo can come in my residence looking for a hammer. Crimes of reckless endangerment, trespass, petty larceny, criminal tampering, resisting arrest, attempted assault. That's 6 right there. You got 6 crimes for me? I walk outside in my back. I walk alongside my residence. Your 2 employees, Todd Baxter, are on the private property of my neighbor. How do they have standing when they're committing a crime being on the private property of my neighbor? You can't just walk onto somebody's property and wait for another human being to come out when you're law enforcement. If you're on the private property of my neighbor, you're trespassing. Isn't that right? If you're on the private property of my neighbor, you're trespassing on the private property of my neighbor. So you're committing a crime and trespassing when you're waiting for me. Oh, that's a concoction for me. Walk through a parking lot my neighbors go through. That's trespassing. But you are trespassing on the private property of my neighbor. What's the name of these 2 criminals that work for you that were on the private property of my neighbor? They waited for me to come outside. They ran across Sanders Farm Drive where I live. I don't know what that is. The body camera goes on, and you can see it. You've seen the body camera footage, you bald-headed party-switching criminal. I don't know what that is. I turn around. I run alongside of my residence. I'm about to run back in my residence because I don't know who it is. That's when he grabs my arm. Your employee, if he doesn't grab my arm, I run back into my residence. He grabs my arm. The hammer I just grabbed goes up. I pull away and run back in my house. That's a felony. You're concocted felony assault. What are their names? What are the names of these 2 employees that walked onto the private property of my neighbor in the concoction of a felony for me? And the reason why they're on the private property of my neighbor is because of what I'm doing to you on YouTube. And I read the salaries of every single one of your fanatics, degenerates, and sociopaths on YouTube. You're waiting for me. The 2 vehicles were parked out on Penfield Road because before I came outside, my neighbor called me. Do you see them? I said, yes. So that wasn't a surprise. Why do you think I came outside, you bald-headed criminal? Reckless endangerment, trespass, petty larceny, criminal tampering, resisting arrest, attempted assault. I'm supposed to go into Penfield Town Court and have Paula Metzler declare me guilty of all these, and they're not even going to be there. These two employees that work for you, Todd Baxter, are not even going to be there. This is the corruption of this little room in Penfield Public Library, where you can concoct this for me, demand that I appear in Penfield Town Court before this bald-headed, wig-wearing, nauseating, disgusting hack Paula Metzler. She's going to declare me guilty without these two criminals that work for you even being there. There's no testimony. There's no jury box. There's no testimony ever in Penfield Town Court. It's an assembly line of guilt. You go in there, you declare guilty, that's it, jail time, or you have a criminal record. There's no way I'm going in there. I have no documentation that requires me to be in there. I'm not voluntarily going into the star chamber. So, I'm going to say this again, just for you, you bald-headed fucking hack and criminal, degenerate, sociopath, and extremist. Your employees concocted this for me. They're not going to be there in Penfield Town Court. It's just going to be Paula Metzler declaring me guilty, and off to jail goes Chris Chichester. How's that possibly constitutional? And I've never heard Miranda ever. In this 18 months of what you're doing to me, this barbaric descent on my life by you, Todd Baxter, I've never heard Miranda. There's not a single human being that goes into Penfield Town Court for reckless and dangerous trespass, petty larceny, criminal tampering, resisting arrest, attempted assault. The only one I know on here that I recognize is attempted assault, where I'm running away, I'm on my back porch, he grabs my arm, you employee. What are their names? What are their names? I demand to know their names because I want you to tell the Department of Justice their names. Did you know that your employees, you bald-headed, fanatic, degenerate, sociopath, walked on the private property of my neighbor in a concoction of a felony on my back porch? I have a passion for jails. What the hell is wrong with you? It's a sick thing to say, I have a passion for jails. Last year, Sheriff Patrick O'Flynn opened a new housing area in the Monroe County Jail for incarcerated military veterans in order to provide them with specialized programs. Do you have any changes in mind for the jail or further outreach to veterans? That's the question from the Democrat and Chronicle. I'm going to read that again. Because like I said, it needs to be pounded into you about this veteran, special area for veterans. What a joke. You spend your time on this, and I'm a veteran. Last year, Sheriff Patrick O'Flynn opened a new housing area in the Monroe County Jail for incarcerated military veterans in order to provide them with a specialized program. Do you have any changes in mind for the jail or further outreach to veterans? Sheriff Todd Baxter, party-switching, bald-headed fraud. Quote, it's a beautiful area. I wish all the parts of the jail looked like that from the standpoint. It was controlled, it was clean, and the people there wanted to be there. We even had other inmates trying to get in and be part of that unit because it's stabilized and they see hope at the end of it. From an operational standpoint of the jail, we want to create more like that. You are George Orwell with this. It's stabilized and they see hope at the end of it. The inmates see hope being in a little room, a little area for veterans. When I was in your jails, and this man I was given a jumpsuit that had a color on it that signified I was a veteran. And I'm thinking, why am I wearing this different color just because I'm a veteran? I was honorably discharged as Sergeant E5 for 2nd Squadron, 17 Cavalry, 101st Airborne Division Air Assault, Fort Campbell, Kentucky, on May 27th, 1988. I have not worn a uniform in my country now for 32 years. And yet I'm wearing a color for the jumpsuit that signifies I'm a veteran. This is such a joke. It's a beautiful area. Everything in your language is 1984, and I will use that phrase to describe you because you live in an alternate universe. There is something radically wrong with you and the way you think. You're not normal because your life is a perversion, and your life is a perversion because you have been a pathetic cop your whole life. It's a beautiful area. How? It's fucking jail, you degenerate. I wish all the parts of the jail look like that from the standpoint. You wish all the parts of the jail look like that? Why? It's a fucking jail. It was controlled. It was controlled. The whole jail should be controlled because inmates have to be controlled so they don't attack each other. And I was attacked at your jail by your employee. It was clean. Oh, it was clean. The jail's supposed to be clean. It was such a pathetic, revolting hack. And the people there wanted to be there. Oh, they did? People want to be in jail. I didn't want to be in jail as an innocent man in my specialized colored jumpsuit. We even had other inmates trying to get in, really. Other inmates were trying to get into the special area for the veterans. Why? 1984. You won 1984 with this. You were delusional. And a big part of that, you because it was stabilized, and they see hope at the end of it. Stabilized? The jail, every jail should be stabilized. Your job is to stabilize the jail. And they see hope at the end of it. Hope is a four-letter word. I see people talk about hope on TV and I laugh. What are you talking about, hope at the end of it? There's no hope in jail at all, ever. There is no hope in jail. You bald-headed, party-switching criminal and hack. From an operational standpoint of the jail, we want to create more like that. You are such a sick, pathetic, revolting, nauseating fucking criminal and hack. What are the names of your two employees that walked on to the private property of my neighbor? What are the names? What is the name of the two criminal employees that walked on to the private property of my neighbor? Sandra Doorley, what's the name of your assistant district attorney twice who didn't talk in Penfield Town Court? Paula Metzler, you bald-headed, wig-wearing criminal. Why was I in Livingston County? I'm not coming into your star chamber voluntarily. You're going to have to drag me in there. I have no documentation to compel me to be in Penfield Town Court. I'm not going in there voluntarily. I'm not doing anything voluntarily. You're there to just pronounce me guilty. You're sitting there in your little star chamber, in your little room that's in a library, and you're thinking, this is Chris Chichester. I want to send him to jail. I'm going to send him to jail. Where's the jury? The jury doesn't send me anyway, you bald-headed, wig-wearing, fucking hacking criminal. Fuck you, Paula Metzler. I know what you're thinking right now. We need to go to his house tomorrow. We need to arrest him, descend on him. That's exactly what you're thinking. Todd Baxter, I'm going to send you these bills. I haven't opened them. I'm going to open them. Professional ambulance billing. I was attacked and assaulted. This is the bills that I'm getting. This is only two. I have more than 30 bills because of what your employee did to me. I have more than 30 bills. I haven't opened any of them. It should never happen in the United States of America to an innocent citizen. Today is December 21st. I'm demanding public information from you, including the latest salaries at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office and the Monroe County District Attorney's Office. Send them to me. I'm going to read every single Freedom of Information law, and every single one of these Freedom of Information laws, documents, I've read to you on December 19th. Every one I'm going to read, you've received on December 19th and December 17th. So today's December 21st, and you're going to refuse. You refuse every one. It's the law's joke to you at the District Attorney's and Sheriff's Office. My name is Christopher Chichester. I have never committed a crime. The internal disciplinary records of documentation for employees at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Todd K. Baxter. That Sheriff Todd K. Baxter has disciplined or reprimanded or terminated from employment at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. Fire Andrew Yalley. Fire Shannon Meyer. It's that simple. And you won't. When was the last time you terminated the employment of an employee? When did that happen? How do you discipline your public employees? When they breach the civil and constitutional rights of innocent Americans. How do you do that? And when you're thinking right there, right now, is that we need to arrest that guy, we need to drag him in. I'm not going to answer any of those questions. The law's a joke to you. The law's a joke to a certain district attorney who's prosecutor who doesn't talk. What's her name? Sandra Doorley. The internal disciplinary record of documentation for employees at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office and District Attorney Sandra Doorley. That District Attorney Sandra Doorley has disciplined, reprimanded, and terminated from employment at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office. Should an assistant district attorney or employee of the District Attorney's Office who doesn't talk in court, doesn't make an argument, be terminated from employment? What's the answer, Sandra Doorley? The answer is yes. And the answer from you is, who the hell are you to be asking me that question? Because there's no accountability for you at the sheriff's office and district attorney's office. You do whatever the hell you want, you two criminals. Your entire existence is tax dollars. This is payroll. I had multiple payrolls. Leah LaRoque, this hack, who's 40 pounds overweight. Lose weight, Leah, immediately. She took a payroll out of my house. This is one of them here. I'm going to get to your little fake award ceremony with Jansen McNair. He was one of them. Your fake awards ceremony, Todd the Fascist Stooge. $104,000 you pay this guy. What are you doing conferring awards on yourself in your fake awards ceremony? You had that on your Facebook page. It's a joke to look at what you did with these awards. For what? Doing what? Why are you conferring fake awards on your employees, Todd Baxter? And what do you pay them? The names and salaries of every public employee at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office of Sheriff Todd K. Baxter. It's time to switch parties again. Republican, Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter to you. Just say anything and do anything. The principles that motivate a human being to be a Republican or Democrat are relevant to you because power is all that counts. Freedom of information law. The name and salary of every public employee at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, District Attorney Sandra Doorley. Power is all that counts to you. Republican, Democrat, Republican, doesn't matter to you. You switch parties too. Does not matter to you, Sandra Doorley. Does not matter to you, Todd Baxter. That the two major political parties in the United States of America are radically different because all that matters to you is power, and you'll be in any party and say anything to acquire the power. What do you pay your public employees when they work beyond a 40th hour? Total cost of overtime, time and a half, who pay beyond a base salary calculated at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office of Todd K. Baxter. When they worked that 41st hour, they paid the same way for the first 40 hours? What's the answer, Todd Baxter? You can have an employee in his vehicle. He'll be driving around for an extra 10 hours and fleecing the taxpayers doing that. I'm confident that that happens. I'm confident that your employees are abusing overtime. There are stories in every state about public employees. For example, a public employee paid $50,000 and suddenly this person existed $70,000, $80,000, $90,000, or even $100,000. Public employees doubling their pay because of overtime. Are you doing that at the sheriff's office? A certain district attorney doing that. A certain district attorney whose prosecutor stands in the nauseating star chamber of Penfield Town Court and doesn't talk. Does the prosecutor talk in court? Party switching Sandra Doorley? Will you pay your public employees when they work a 41st hour? Party switching Sandra Doorley. Total cost of overtime, time and a half, who pay beyond base salaries calculated at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office, Sandra Doorley. They have a caseload, correct? They have a caseload. That's 40 hours. What happens during the 41st hour? What happens when your employees at your little tiny district attorney's office there at 47 South Fitzhugh in Rochester work a 41st hour? Your little tiny district attorney's office. What happens? Tell me. And what you're going to do, Sandra Doorley, is refuse. Because I know you see me because you're coming here. You see me on YouTube, you hear. What's the name of your prosecutor also that doesn't talk in court? You have no standing to command me to do anything when you refuse to comply with the law yourself. Do you understand what I just said, Paula Metzler? Do you understand me? Is the glue from your wig seeping into your brain right now? I can hardly wait to contact the United States Department of Justice about you, Paula Metzler, because my mission in life is to remove you from Penfield Town Court. And you're not the only one that I seek to remove from public office. Can you figure out who else I'm going to seek to remove from public office? Party switching district attorney, party switching sheriff, Sandra Doorley and Todd Baxter. Sexual harassment is the descent on the soul. Is there sexual harassment going on at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office? I don't know. This is going to confirm if there is sexual harassment going on at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office of Todd Baxter, if you expended taxpayer dollars because of it. I'm not going to define it because I've done that multiple times, but you know what it is, Todd Baxter. You know what it is, Sandra Doorley. Does it have to be defined for you? A man who won't leave a woman alone at work because he's asking her out on a date over and over and over. He's calling her, his email. That's just one example in her 1,000. Has one of your employees at the district attorney's office, sheriff's office, come to you, Sandra Doorley and Todd Baxter, saying he's harassing her? And what have you done about it? Have you expended taxpayer dollars? Because your employees at the district attorney's office, sheriff's office, are behaving like animals. My name is Christopher Chachester. I've never committed a crime. The cost of taxpayers of Monroe County Sheriff Todd K. Baxter expended taxpayer dollars to settle employment-related discrimination lawsuits fair to comply with Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of of 1964. The cost of taxpayers of Monmouth County District Attorney Sandra Doorley expended taxpayer dollars settle employment-related discrimination lawsuits fair to comply with Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. That is arguably the most important legislation of the 20th century. And I demand to know if you're in compliance with it. Have you ever been to the Central Intelligence Agency in Langley, Virginia, Sheriff Todd Baxter? Because I have been by it when I worked on Capitol Hill. As a United States Senate, United States House of Representatives employee, I know exactly where the building is. What's a surveillance device, Sheriff Todd Baxter? Because the Central Intelligence Agency employees will purchase and install a surveillance device in order to surveil terrorists. You install a surveillance device for an innocent citizen at 2025 Penfield Road. That innocent citizen is me, Sheriff Todd Baxter, Sheriff of 1984. Cost of surveillance device purchased with taxpayer dollars by Monroe County Sheriff Todd K. Baxter and fixed to a building at 2025 Penfield Road to monitor if Christopher Chichester, 26 Sanders Farm Drive, walks through the parking lot next to the building. 4,000 times I've walked through that parking lot. I'm walking through it one day, and I hear screaming from behind me. There's this psychopath, Neeraj Shah. I don't know why he's screaming at me. I walk up to him. I say, why he's screaming at me? He continues to scream. Were you told about this disgusting incident? Shannon Meyer, your $67,000 a year salary, your ass should be fired immediately, and you won't be fired because you're employed by corruption and you're corrupt. I spoke to this Shannon Meyer on the phone for an hour. I have no idea she's writing a warrant for my arrest for walking through this parking lot. And then you bought this device. I'm calling it a surveillance device. And then your hacks like Michael Rather are calling Lindsey Barrett, the Monroe County Office of Mental Health, because I used the phrase surveillance device, and you bought one. And I've seen the images. How do you explain that to the United States Department of Justice, what you've done to me? How much did you expend for this thing? And you refused to send me the first one that I saw that was on the phone of your employee and has this signed number. 50 times I emailed you. I even came to your office, and your employee knew right away. Because it's not every day that you buy a camera for an innocent citizen and affix it to a building in Penfield, New York, to concoct a crime for that innocent citizen using a civilian. Steve Desmond, Brock Coltrane won't get your six fanatics, degenerates, and sociopaths here. What is wrong with you, you bald-headed criminal? It's not the high-resolution photo, but that's it right there. That's your surveillance device, you bald-headed criminal. Cost of taxpayers for photography session approved by Monroe County Sheriff Todd K. Baxter and photo of 10 public employees underwater in a pool. 50 times I've demanded this. Training exercise. How is that a training exercise? Why is the American flag in the background? Where's the training? Where was this taken? Did you expend taxpayer dollars? If it's a training exercise, then you expended taxpayer dollars. What's the purpose of this? Where was this photo taken? If it's a training exercise that's done on taxpayer time, how much did you expend to take this picture? It was on your Facebook page. Why take a picture? What's the answer? And what you're thinking is, we need to arrest that guy because he's demanding we answer. That's exactly what you're thinking. That Chris Chichester, he needs to be arrested because of holding up this picture of our employees at the sheriff's office. Did you expend taxpayer dollars to take this photograph? Speaking of expending taxpayer dollars, Freedom of Information Law. The cost for a hotel and plane ticket for Monroe County Sheriff employee Ryan Fisher, attended Super Bowl in Atlanta, Georgia on February 3rd, 2019, was Canine Dog Lola. Is Ryan Fisher still employed at the Monroe County Sheriff Office? When I worked as a public employee in Albany and on Capitol Hill, I had to answer questions about my fellow public employees traveling out of state on a junket. And that was a nightmare to get that question from the media. And it would happen periodically. And it would happen enough where we had to have a meeting once when I worked in Albany for Governor George Pataki. We had to have a meeting in the press office because we were getting calls about out-of-state travel by my own colleagues. And it was difficult to have to deal with this. Because how do you explain that your colleague is not in Albany and he's somewhere else in the United States of America in one of the 49 states? That is an extremely challenging situation when you speak on behalf of the governor of New York, and then you have to explain why your colleagues are not in New York. Because you could be anywhere in New York, given the size of this wonderful and terrific state that I was born and raised in. I love with everything I have. So, I know as a public employee that travel, especially out-of-state travel, is a political problem. And here's Ryan Fisher, Monroe County Sheriff Office employee in front of Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. Why? There's no reason for him to be in Atlanta, Georgia. Why'd you send Ryan Fisher to Atlanta, Georgia, Todd Baxter? How do you explain this to people of Monroe County? This is when you're at your public events, and I'm going to be coming to them. I'm going to come to your events multiple times, and you'll probably arrest me. Or in likelihood, you'll arrest me. I'm confident you'll arrest me if I come to your events. And this, I'm going to hold this up and say to you, along with your swimmers, what's your employee, Ryan Fisher, doing in Atlanta, Georgia? What's the reason? That's the flag of Georgia since 2003. It's only been the flag of Georgia for 17 years. It had to be changed. What do you think about that symbol? Because when Ryan Fisher got off the plane, I'll guess that he saw this during his time in Georgia, the official symbol of a redneck. Why is he in Atlanta, Georgia? That flag looks nothing like the inspiring, perfect, beautiful flag of New York with its Latin motto, ever higher. Are you ever higher, Sheriff Todd Baxter? Are you ever higher, District Attorney Sandra Doorley? Are you ever higher, employees of the Monroe County Sheriff's Office? Are you ever higher, employees of the District Attorney's Office? The answer to every one of those questions is no, and I'm the evidence that you're not ever higher. You abridge my civil and constitutional rights, which are a repulsive existence in Monroe County. I have never committed a crime. Freedom of Information Law. What are the physical training standards and requirements at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office? Todd K. Baxter. Your employee, Lee LaRoque, this bankrupt human being, this bankrupt, pathetic excuse for a human being that's in here with a search warrant is 40 pounds overweight. I saw on your Facebook page. Employee after employee after employee at your criminal organization, Todd Baxter, at your crime family of 170 criminals, is overweight, including this hack, your fellow criminal that's in here looking for a hammer and exiting with my Chromebook. Lee LaRoque, did you read my emails? Lee LaRoque, did you go to search history on my laptop and see websites I visited? What'd you find out? Did I go to ESPN? Did I go to Drudge Report, read the New York Times, read the Washington Post? Send my Chromebook back to me. Where is it? I'm going to tell the United States Department of Justice, I've been demanding, everything you're going to get soon, so you have the transcripts. I've been working to the point for 18 months. I'm going to take every YouTube transcript and send it to you so you don't have any deniability because you're a collection of liars there at the District Attorney's and Sheriff's Office. And I can say I've said this to you. I've said this now in the last, I believe, 3 YouTube videos that I've done saying, where's my Chromebook? How do you, Lee LaRoque, look at my Chromebook and conclude I need to take that out of his residence? How do you, Paula Metzel, possibly allow this disgusting, vile, bankrupt hack to take my Chromebook out of my residence because of this document? Physical training standards. You have none. Are you aware of the fact, Todd Baxter, that criminals run away from the police? Have you ever been in the presence of Leah LaRoque, Todd Baxter? Because what you need to tell her, this degenerate, is to lose weight. And then she can tell you to lose weight. On the payroll that Leah LaRoque didn't take out of the residence is Michael Radler with $0. You, Michael Radler, make $0. And you, Michael Radler, makes $0. And that means that Corey Brown makes $131,485 more than you. How do you explain, Todd Baxter, that you are paid in statute $132,599 and Corey Brown is paid $131,485? You make $1,100 more than Corey Brown. How do you explain your $131,485 public employee, Corey Brown? It's another thing. I hope you give a speech and there are 1,000 people in the room. I'm going to go to the microphone. I'm going to say, how do you explain to the people in Monroe County Corey Brown is paid $131,485, $1,000 less than you? Answer that question, Todd Baxter. How are you going to answer that question if I'm in a room with 500, 700,000 people, 200 people, 100 people, and I ask you that question? How do you answer that question? I'm telling you, I'm going to ask you this question in public. Answer that question, Todd Baxter, why Corey Brown is paid just $1,000 less than you at $131,485. You need $100,000 cops. There were 14, I believe, on one page that make $100,000 or more. It's American greed at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. A bald-headed, party-switching, criminal, fanatic, corrupt hack, Todd Baxter. $0. Michael Rapper. Who's in your jail? Your employees attacking you in your jail? Who's there? The name of the charge. Because I want to contact these people about their experience in your jail. If other employees are being attacked, other inmates, I've never committed a crime. I'm in there because of one person in a little room inside the library in Penfield where my ex-girlfriend, beautiful Laura, used to work at. One person sends me to jail without a prosecutor talking, without a jury. I'm supposed to allow this hack to continue to do this to me? Where's your decency, Sandra Doorley? Where's your decency, Perry Duckles? Perry Duckles. I've said this to you before, oftentimes in bureaucracy. The person at the top of the bureaucracy, the elected official, doesn't know anything. And the number 2 or 3 or other senior person knows. Doesn't it bother you at all, Perry Duckles? Because I don't know if you or anybody views these YouTubes, because I don't look at the views. Because I've been doing this to get to the point where I can contact the Department of Justice. Perry Duckles, I'm going to get to a foil where I'm demanding the name of your prosecutor, your assistant district attorney didn't talk at Penfield Town Court, first before John Lomenzo and next before Paula Metzler. Over and over and over, I've demanded this is a public proceeding, and you're refusing at the district attorney's office to tell me the name of this individual. It was a woman the first time and a man the second time. Who is your prosecutor in my cases who didn't talk both times? Tell me, Perry Duckles. The names and charges of every inmate in Monroe County Jail from January 2018 to December 21, 2020. Who's in jail? Tell me who's in jail so I can contact them. Perry Duckles. These next 2 are the last 2. Click reply and tell me the name. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester for John P. Lomenzo Jr. Penfield Town Court. What's the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Doorley? The silent prosecutor. Not one word, not one sound, not one syllable. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester for Paula Metzler in Penfield Town Court. What is the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Doorley? Silent prosecutor. Not one word, not one sound, not one syllable. Because I haven't committed a crime. I have never committed a crime. How do you do this to me at the district attorney's office? How do you exist with yourselves, refusing to answer day after day, week after week, month after month, and for 18 months now, you refuse to answer. But if you want information at the district attorney's office and sheriff's office, you better acquire it. What I just read to you, you received on December 19th. The Freedom of Information Law documents that I just read to you, you received on December 17th. And you're going to refuse. Because you're American Psycho. That's what you are, American psychos there at the district attorney's office, sheriff's office. You're above the law. A psychopath who is responsible for the law in any county in the United States of America and refuses to comply with the law when a citizen is demanding it has to be an American psycho. That's the official beverage from the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. In the Monroe County District Attorney's Office. When I say you Kool-Aid drinkers, Kool-Aid is a phrase that entered the vocabulary of Americans after Jonestown in Guyana. When this fanatical cult leader, Jim Jones, instructed his followers to drink Flavor Aid. And they did, and 1,000 approximately died right there in the jungle in Guyana. It's a terrible tragedy. So it's called drinking the Kool-Aid as an indication that you are a blind follower who cannot make a distinction between right and wrong. You will just do whatever you're told. Or you are consumed by fanaticism, and then when you act on your own, it's confirmation that you're a fanatic. Confirmation that you're a fanatic. Todd Baxter, employees are fanatics, is coming to my house to demand my little guy. My ex-girlfriend Laura and I lived in Webster, and we decided to adopt a dog. And we talked about it. Because we both had owned dogs previously, and we wanted to give a dog a home nobody wanted. Laura and I went to Lollipop Farm from Mayside. And one question we both asked is, do you have a criminal record? And as I sit here, I've never committed a crime. And the answer from Laura Riley and I, we're at Lollipop, is no. So we went to cages. And we were walking by a cage. And it was barking everywhere. And I said to her, and she laughed, I don't want to get a barking dog. And she said, as I've said previously, I'm sure, because it's barking everywhere. And then we picked him out and brought him home. And he was so adorable. He was sitting there looking up at us. It was like he was just so happy that he was staring at us and he wanted to be adopted. I had him for 9 years. And one day, the back window from this repulsive shack to Shaw Law Firm flies open. I'm walking in the same way 4,000 times for 8 years. Because the last year of his life, I wasn't allowed to go back there on land that has no ownership. And the back window from the Shaw Law Firm flies open. This woman is screaming at me. I don't know why. I bring my little guy in. I put him in the dog bed my mom and dad got me. I walk to the parking lot, just like my neighbors do. So my excellent friend, it's like Penfield High School students who are not arrested. I go in there. I say, what's the problem? They refuse to talk. That's because later coordinator I shot called the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. You're on my way to my residence to seize my little guy. There's pounding on my door. I go to the door. Your 2 employees are there with the animal control individual's got a pole in his hand. There's a noose top and pole. There's this vicious confrontation. I tell him, you don't have to kill him to take my little guy. I slammed the door in their faces. And when I went back to his dog bed, I looked at him and he was shaking. I picked him up and I said, nobody's ever going to take you from me. How do you come to the house of an innocent man and demand his dog, Todd Baxter, when all he's doing, me, walking my dog the same way to 7 years and 4,000 times? How do you do this to me? Fanatic, degenerate, and sociopath. Miranda versus Arizona. I've never heard Miranda versus Arizona. How do you explain that to the United States Department of Justice? What's the matter to you? Do I count Perry Duckles? Do I count Michael Radler? Comply with everything. And you will refuse. Comply with every single Freedom of Information law. So you twos at 52 minutes at 10 p.m. now on this December 21st. I'm at your jails and it's man, Todd Baxter. I went to the center of jail. I took an envelope and I wrote on the envelope language to remind myself to be relentless. And what I wrote is, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger.